I'm Janis Carthon, and welcome to another edition of Realizing Potential. Today on the show we have Mr. Myron Williams, who currently serves as the President of Global Sales Strategy and Sales Operations for UPS. And joining him is Robbin Lee. She's the Manager of Sales Talent Management, a company that provides interview coaching, resume writing, and career planning for students and prospective candidates. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. First of all, Mr. Williams, tell us a little bit about your background, and I'm happy to say that I just learned that you're a graduate of Albany State University.
I am an Albany State Golden Ram.
That
yes,
is
I
great.
am. Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, but no, my background, I'm originally from Tampa, Florida. Grew up there, obviously went to Albany State University, went to graduate school down at Tampa College in Tampa, so that's my educational background. When I was at Albany State, I was recruited out of Albany State by an oil company, KO Oil Company, which was owned by Conoco. So I worked in the oil industry for the first couple of years, and then obviously gasoline got a little scarce, or not, the jobs got a little scarce with gasoline in the early 80s, and we were laid off. And then I went to UPS.
Okay, and what did you get your degree in here at Albany State?
In business administration at Albany State.
Okay, and who were some of your mentors from Albany State during the time you were working on your degree?
One of my mentors is still here, Dr. Eliard, Maurice Eliard.
Yes,
he was my marketing instructor, and we've kept in touch over the years, and he's a wonderful person. And he is the one thing that's been real consistent about Albany State. He's been here the entire time.
He has. Yes. I know Dr. Eliard. Yes, awesome person. How about you, Ms. Lee? Tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, I started with UPS in 1978 as a switchboard operator for our corporate office. Was shortly right out of high school. I did not get my degree until I was an adult. Graduated in 2011 from Shorter University with a degree in Human Services. And I would say that UPS gave me my professional degree, and I accompanied it with the academic degree to go hand in hand, to continue to enhance my professionalism and continue to enjoy opportunities that UPS has provided me over the years.
That's awesome. And we're going to talk a little bit about how people can prepare for interviews. And let's talk about first some of the things that are happening in logistic management. So, Mr. Williams, what are some of the changes, or if a person get a job, let's say in logistic management, what would their typical day look like? Well,
there are a lot of different avenues that you can go on logistics these days. At UPS, we created an entire sector of jobs that we call our solutions group. So the solutions group, they do a ton of things, from just a simple warehouse layout to mapping your entire supply chain, to understanding if you're carrying too much inventory, really taking all of the gaps out of your supply chain so things show up where they need to be just in time.
Right.
I mean, you might be a healthcare provider where they may say, hey, these life-saving drugs need to be temperature controlled. They'll make sure that they move through the cold chain, they get to those points where they need to be refrigerated at the right times, and those type things. And all the way down to your manufacturing of drugs, right? So, it might be raw materials here, movements that take place, we capsulize the capsules here, we pack them here, we sell them there. So our solutions group does a lot of that. They also do warehouse layouts. They make sure that as we call it, connecting all the hoses.
Right.
For example, so your order entry is connected to your call center, which is connected to your customer service, our call center, I just said that, and then also, which might be connected to your accounting system. So all of those things that work together, so your business runs seamlessly, and obviously your accounts receivable and all those things work, and you continue to push products out, continue to bring revenue in.
So what are some of those basic skill sets that are needed for those type of positions in logistics?
Well, what I would say is first you have to be able to think globally, right? Because the supply chain wraps around the globe. The second thing I would say is, we all started out with a basic degree.
Right.
And we were able to learn a lot as we went through this. So I tell people all the time, don't get hung up on what your degree's in. We have engineers, at UPS, we have people with business degrees, we have people that majored in sociology.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we have training and we prepare people for these jobs. So the main thing is getting your foot in the door. And those basic skills that come with that you learn from your parents, your grandparents, and the university will help you just get your foot in the door. From there, we'll take it from there and train you and get you ready for the jobs that we have at hand.
Okay, and so let's talk to Ms. Lee. How do you get that foot in the door, okay? Tell us a little bit about how a person can prepare to work at like UPS or anywhere. So in terms of let's talk about interviews, or let's start with the resume. Where can a person just start looking at their resume and then start looking at some interviewing strategies? So what would you recommend?
I actually take it even a step before that.
Okay.
One of the things I encourage all students to do is take advantage of the career services function that you have in your organizations. They have the opportunity to sit down and take career assessments online, and they're free.
Oh,
Take
okay.
advantage of free. A lot of the career services have licenses to be able to do these things, a more advanced type of career assessment, but then there's others you can just Google yourself. I encourage that because a lot of times students, to Myron's point, go to school to get a degree, but they don't know what they're going to do with it. So what I try to instill in them is, okay, you're going to school for a reason because you're investing in yourself. What do you want to do with that when you graduate?
Exactly.
You do not need to go in an interview with an employer and not know what you want to do. So taking that career assessment a lot of times offers them opportunities to think about it in different areas that they never even thought of. And it just helps them become a little bit more well-rounded in what they can do with their degree. I've been encouraging that for years with students. I've made it part of a requirement in some of the students that come in with me now. If you haven't done it, I want you to do it under my watch so we can discuss it. So that's where I start. Then after they do that, then I encourage them, go take a look at what's your dream job? Now that you understand this, what would be your dream job? Go take a look at some of those opportunities. And then from that, you can start to mold what your resume can look like for that dream job. Again, taking advantage of career services in the different schools, because they're there to help you. And they're going to help you build your resume. And then when they get in touch with me, by that time they've accomplished a lot of these things. I review their resume, I provide them additional pointers and helpful hints. And then, again, to take advantage of networking opportunities that a lot of the employers provide on campus, interviewing workshops, the do's and don'ts, how to come prepared, take advantage of those resume writing workshops, which a lot of the employers come on campus to help do. Take advantage of those, they're free. And the employers are there because they want to see you successful, because they want to hire you.
Exactly.
And putting that scope into it has significantly improved the quality of candidates that I see on a consistent basis.
That's great. That's great. And so what are some things that Albany State should be doing, or what we could be doing with our students like before they have that big interview?
Days like Myron and I are engaging in today, making sure that they are aware of it. It's free. Come learn. My motto is, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Take advantage of those free opportunities. Take advantage of those companies coming in to spend time with you, to spend a day with you. We're here to help you. We're here because we want to be here. We want to see you successful. We're trying to pay it forward. You know, we've been afforded opportunities, Myron and I, through our careers to be where we are. It's time for us to pay it forward and share with others.
That's great. That's great. So, Mr. Williams, is there a shortage in jobs in logistics, or, you know, how is the job market for logistics?
I will tell you now, for UPS, I'll just talk about UPS. And really, if you look at the nation, there is a shortage of people that have CDL license and they can drive tractor trailers. Now, I know college kids that are going to college, they want to manage logistics, and we get that part, but to start there is a shortage. I mean, for example, at UPS, we're probably going to need somewhere around 2,300 new feeder drivers, as we call them, or CDL licensed drivers over the road between now and next Christmas. So that's an opportunity to get your foot in the door. I started out as a service provider. I had a college degree, but guess what? That was my opportunity to get in. But as far as logistics goes, I mean, it changes every day. There's more technology, you know, and those type things, which creates additional jobs. So when our guys go in and do a whiteboard session and they map out those entire supply chains, there's a lot of components that need to happen there. I mean, all the way down to distribution. So think about distribution. A company wants to go global, right? They don't want to put up a brick and mortar building. So what do? They call UPS. We have supply chain buildings all around the world. In the Netherlands, we put some racks up for them. We put their products in there. We pick, pack, and ship for them in Europe. And guess what? They're in business in Europe. So all of those things create jobs. Order entry, inventory control, the proper pick and pack, quality control, all those things that take place with movements of goods during commerce are important. So there's a bazillion jobs out there that are being created by all the new movements and all the new technology and globalization.
Exactly. And tell us a little bit about what you all would be doing here at Albany State University. And is this your first time coming to Albany State to do something like this?
No, I've been here many times. I was commencement speaker a couple years ago. I've also come back and worked with Dr. Elliott in the Urban League during the BEAT program. We used to come on campus with BEAT program. There's several companies that would come back, UPS, Coca-Cola, and several others, forestry, et cetera. So that was always a lot of fun. And I also was on the Albany State Com Board when we started a logistics degree at the college. So, but more about today, we're going to be doing a lecture over in the auditorium in Peace Hall. I'm probably going to talk about some sales programs over at UPS, how we train our people, because sales training is one of the things that are that's under my umbrella.
Exactly.
So I'll do a little talk on that. I'll talk about some things that students need to do to stay current and understand trends and be in the know. So when they go on those interviews and those type things that Mrs. Lee is talking about, they have those hip pocket skills to be successful. So it'll just be an interactive day, and then at the end of the day, we'll do some mock interviews.
Oh, okay. And so the logistic program that we have here at Albany State University, so are we on track? Let me say that because you have to develop pretty much the program, make sure you have the right courses and so forth. And you said you were involved in helping to set up that particular program. So what else do we need to do in terms of that particular program here at Albany State?
Well, let me start with the foundation. So I think the foundation is very solid.
Okay.
And I think the setup is right for Albany State because you have the technical college here in Albany, right? You have the Marine Corps logistics base in Albany, and you have this university. So the way it works, right? So we know that the base out here will always need folks that can do welding and repair Humvees and do all that mechanical work, right? So when you think about the technical school, they have a pipeline to feed the Marine Corps base. So then you think about now the Marine Corps saying, hey, we need students that can help us think through how to move things around the globe logistically. You have the university, right? And I think the bridge is also that Albany State now allows those technical students to come into the university to finish those degrees. So a lot of working adults, where they're getting their education on the base, they can also come finish that degree here and then move up and go out and work in supply chain at the base or elsewhere. So I think the foundation is great. The thing that we've got to continue to do is attract and recruit students into the program. I think the number I heard this morning, we're up around 80 or 90 students in the program. Now, I remember when we had 7.
Wow.
So it has grown.
Yes, it has.
But we need to continue to build that out and make sure that the curriculum stays current with all the new trends and with the technology.
Right, and I think those partnerships that we have in this community, that's awesome. You know, to have a Marine base who have logistics management specialists that works at that base. And and then having the technical school is just a great combination.
It is.
To even have a program like logistics here at Albany State. Look like we have all the pieces of the puzzles.
You really
here.
do. You really do.
Okay. So Ms. Lee, let me ask you, if a person comes in for an interview, what would be some of the recommendation that you would give to any person, like before they go in for an interview anywhere?
Research the company you're going to be applying for. That is number one. Because otherwise, why are you here?
Exactly.
What has attracted you, I'm going to speak specifically for UPS, what has specifically attracted you to UPS? What can you tell me about UPS? And that seems to be my number one piece that I look for when they come talk to me. And they also need to understand what is the position that they're applying for. Come prepared to ask the employer questions or the prospective employer questions, because that's educational. That tells myself as the interviewer or any interviewer that you've done your research, that you want to be here. You've researched us for a reason. That I would say is the number one thing that I always look for in interviewing anybody. And any coaching I provide to anybody, and I coach lots of people, students, prospective candidates, executives, I provide them all that same information. And interestingly enough, some of the executives that I've even coached never even thought about it like that. They know what they know from a business perspective, but they haven't dug in and researched the company itself, the history. You know, when did we become a supply chain company? Where did we start? What's our history? And once I've encouraged them to do that, their whole perspective changes on the company. They're like, wow, I didn't know that. So just I use those as examples, and I grow from the different responses I get from people that I talk to.
That's
and I
awesome.
continue to build upon that as I continue to coach.
That's awesome. Mr. Williams, what are some lessons learned that you can share with our audience about being successful and getting to where you want to be in your career?
Well, I think there's a lot of things, right? So think about corporate America, right? It's, you know, as they say, we eat our young, right? That's a slogan that they use sometimes.
Yeah.
So first off, I think you have to be open and willing to take on any job that they offer you. Get your foot in the door. And just because your degree is not in engineering, if the job's in engineering, guess what? You can learn engineering. You know what? If they put you in operations, you may not have a big operations background, but guess what? You can learn operations.
Exactly.
They move you to the sales force, guess what? I'll learn these techniques and go learn how to sell.
Exactly.
I think that's first. I think staying current is important as well. Even if it's no more than just being able to have small talk with your boss. Talk about all the current events. Hey, what's going on with ISIL? What's going on with Ebola? What's going on with Flight 370, Malaysia's Flight 370? All those little current things that you have in your mind. Let your boss know that, hey, this is a person that stays current. They're up on things. You also have to know your job, of course, and really be prepared for all of that. But I think there's so many things that you have to be in tune with, especially globalization, right?
Right.
So you got to think globally. The other thing I would always advise people to do is say, hey, don't ever turn down a relocation. People get hung up on relocations. Hey, you know, I'm here, my babysitter's here, my dry cleaner's here, everything's in place, my doctor, you know. Look, there are doctors all over the world, there are houses all over the world, there are babysitters all over the world. Those relocations, you go get a different perspective in different parts of the world. And then people, you know, sometimes they don't want to move their children.
Right.
But I will tell you, I've relocated several times with UPS, and I actually think it rounds children out. Because now they got to go break in again, go into school, figure out their way. I think it helps them in the long run. But I just think just some of those basic skills, the ability to be open to opportunities, don't turn down relocations, and just be aggressive as you go through. And you know, I think those things are going to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah, you hit on some things that are so true. They are so true.
You know, and then when you say something, it has to have substance.
Exactly.
You just can't be, you know, running and flapping your jaws and not really making sense of what you're saying. You have to really have prepared and done your homework. And when you say something, people listen. They go, hey, this kid knows what he's talking about. We got to pay a closer attention to this person.
That's awesome. And how about you, Miss Lee?
I was going to say communication skills are critical, both listening and verbal. I tell my students that, you know, take advantage of listening. You can be seen and not heard. You remember those things from your parents. Be seen and not heard. But take advantage of those opportunities and observe your audience. Listen to what's being said. Listen how people communicate with each other. The being able to enunciate and communicate clearly and know what the words mean that you're using. And then after that, you can come back and you can begin to practice what you've learned. And begin to use it. And to Myron's point, talk to your coworkers and start using some of that language with each other. It helps you grow, it helps you develop. And then when you do speak, people are going to pay attention.
Right.
And I always say communication skills begins with listening.
That's so true. That's true. Mr. William, what is the best thing about your job? What do you love about being the president of Global Strategy and Sales Operations?
Well, it's been quite a journey, right? So you think about starting as a service provider, being a driver supervisor, being a center manager, being an area sales manager, being a marketing manager, right? And then you think about being a director in Baltimore, being a director in Washington, D.C., being a package division manager in Washington, D.C., going to New York City, being a vice president, all of those things. There's a lot of special assignments in between, and then becoming the president of a business unit. You know what the greatest part of it all is?
What?
I get to work with outstanding people.
Yes.
Because your organization is built with good people, you can't fail.
Right.
We don't fail because we never quit, and we have good people.
Right.
So that's really the key.
And plus, you're working for a company, you just say UPS. It's just like everybody knows, you know, UPS.
Sure.
And then a lot of other companies have tried to model,
Sure.
you know, UPS. So that's one good thing about the company itself. It's just like a household name.
Sure.
So, which is great.
Well, when you've been around for over 100 years, you know, it's a 107-year-old company that continues to reinvent itself and make itself more current and relevant every day. I think we've done a good job of doing that. I think the other thing we've done a good job of keeping the culture in place, of teamwork, and that, you know, we just don't quit. We just keep going, and well, we figure it out.
Yes.
So I think the culture's alive and well, and that UPS will be around for a long time to come.
And the technology has probably evolved as well.
It really
you know,
has.
where you have this instant text comes over the, you know, your phone
My
telling you
choice.
exactly where your package
Talking about My Choice. It's called My Choice.
It's
yes.
My Choice.
That's right.
Okay.
My Choice.
Yeah,
That's right.
which is
Absolutely.
great.
Well, we're glad you know about
Yeah.
it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I have something really on its way before the Super Bowl, hopefully.
Okay, good. All right, we'll make sure you get that.
Yeah, that's great. And so, Ms. Lee, okay, so for our students here, what can Albany State do better in that area again? Is there anything that you can recommend to the university that we can probably improve upon? And again, I was thinking about the course that we had, like ASU 501, and that may be a good place where all of our freshman students can kind of get exposed to some of the things that you talked about, and a lot of things that are free. So what are other things that you think that we can do as a university to help prepare our students for some of those great jobs in UPS?
To Myron's point, be open. A lot of the students think the only way they can get their foot in the door is through the operations. Well, yes, that's not the only way. We also have internships that we, you know, are promoting. We're going to be promoting that this afternoon, as a matter of fact. But I have to just comply and agree with what Myron said. Just take advantage of the opportunities that are already here. What I've seen and what I've worked with so far, everybody seems to be right on target.
Okay, good.
And it's continued to promote those things, and not just as a freshman, but again, even more seriously again, when they're a sophomore or a rising junior, when they really start to lock into their actual degree, what it is they're going to be doing, just as a refresher.
Okay.
But also, I mean, how do we open up the pipeline, right? So
Right.
when you think about the pipeline, right, we have all of these smart professors down here at Albany State, all this academia down here, right? We got the whole business world out there. You know, a lot of times UPS will allow professors to come up and give lectures in our auditorium. I think we need outreach. I think our professors need to be out in the communities, be out at these businesses. Then they get the Albany State brand out there. What's the value proposition of Albany State? Then you get a couple good students that we pull through the internship program or whatever, and they do a good job.
Exactly.
Guess what? That pipeline starts to open, and people go, hey, that's a dependable university with good students. Hence, you start opening that pipeline, and guess what? It floods from there.
Right, right.
So, and the good news is that we have people like Robbin and myself in place at UPS.
Exactly.
And we're going to ensure. We've taken an intern from Albany State every year.
Really?
So and we're going to continue to do that this year. So we've got a couple lined up that we're going to see this afternoon.
And I'm going to ask Robbin, what do you love about your job? And then I'll finish up the show with my last questions.
Okay.
I take a look at my 37-year career and I think about every opportunity that I have had, starting from the receptionist to doing human resources to communications to employee relations to workforce planning to my legal studies. I have been able to take every one of those jobs and apply it to my existing position, which to me gives me the most well-rounded opportunity to be an advocate for UPS and an advocate for the students and what's going to make them successful. And to Myron's point, I mean, I've only had to make one relocation, moved from Connecticut here, and I was so excited to make that change, and knowing that UPS thought enough of myself and others to say, you're worth taking with us when we move. So that was very motivating for me. But I actually say my entire career has made me best prepared for the position that I'm in now, and I love everything that I do with the job. And then working with a great team and having the support, I've been able to accomplish a lot in the last 5 years. And not being told no. I get to say, this is what I want to do, and okay. It's like wonderful.
Well, it sounds like a great place to work.
It is.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, my final question. First, I'll start with Ms. Lee. Is there anything else you would like to share with our viewers?
Take advantage of all the free opportunities that are available on the campus when you have employers come in, and learn what you don't know.
Great advice. And Mr. Williams, anything you would like to share with our viewers?
You know, students, viewers, and all, hey, the world's opening up. You know what? And all of these emerging markets around the world are going to be important to businesses and opportunities for students and jobs. So if you think about the middle class, 85% of the middle class that's going to come up will be outside of the United States. So if you're not thinking globally from a business perspective, excuse me, or from a relocation perspective, you may have to go work in United Arab Emirates. You know what? You may have to go to Dubai. But if that's where my opportunity is, that's where I need to go.
Great, great. I want to thank both of you all for being on the show today, and I've learned a lot about UPS, and I know a little bit about logistics, and I know pretty much how it operates. And for me, I think since you all love your job, it would be great if most of the people in this country can go to work and love their job like you all. But thank you for being on this show.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, this has been another edition of Realizing Potential. I'm Janis Carthon. Have a great day.